Servant leadership, as exemplified by Jesus, embodies the idea of leading by serving others. Jesus' teachings emphasized humility, service, and putting the needs of others first. He demonstrated this through actions like washing his disciples' feet, teaching and guiding them with compassion, and ultimately sacrificing himself for the greater good. In essence, servant leadership, as understood through Jesus' example, involves leading with a selfless attitude, prioritizing the well-being of others, and being willing to serve and support them wholeheartedly. This leadership style revolves around prioritizing the needs of others above self-interest. It champions empathy, active listening, and understanding, enabling leaders to connect more deeply with their teams. By serving their followers, leaders cultivate a culture of trust, respect, and collaboration. This encourages open communication, empowers individuals, and promotes a sense of belonging within the organization. Servant leadership's emphasis on ethical decision-making and moral integrity aligns with the demand for transparent and responsible leadership in today's society. Leaders practicing servant leadership focus on long-term goals and sustainable practices rather than short-term gains, fostering a culture that values the well-being of employees and the community at large. Moreover, this approach stimulates creativity and innovation by providing a safe space for individuals to share ideas and take calculated risks. It encourages a growth mindset, enabling continuous learning and development within the organization. Traditional hierarchical leadership often emphasizes authority, power, and a top-down approach. Leaders in such models are expected to assert dominance, maintain control, and often distance themselves from menial tasks or from those they lead. This creates a divide between the leader and their followers, fostering a sense of superiority that can hinder open communication and mutual respect. In contrast, Jesus' teachings highlighted the importance of humility as the cornerstone of leadership. He encouraged leaders to adopt a mindset of service, placing the needs of others above their own. This humility fosters a sense of connection and equality among individuals rather than reinforcing hierarchical divisions. Instead of wielding power as a means of control, servant leaders utilize their influence to uplift and support those they lead. Throughout his life, Jesus led by example, demonstrating the essence of leadership through acts of compassion, kindness, and selflessness. He healed the sick, fed the hungry, and comforted the marginalized without seeking acknowledgement or personal gain. His ultimate act of sacrifice, crucifixion, exemplified the epitome of selfless service for the greater good of humanity. These acts of service were not performed for personal glorification or to assert authority, but were rooted in genuine care and empathy for others. Jesus taught that leadership isn't about prestige or power. Rather, it's about meeting the needs of others, uplifting them, and enabling their growth and well-being. The importance of serving without expecting recognition or reward lies in its transformative impact. When leaders prioritize service over self-interest, they foster an environment of trust and support. By setting aside personal agendas and focusing on the needs of others, they create a culture of empathy and collaboration. Jesus' life is replete with stories that exemplify the profound role of compassion in effective leadership. One such story is that of the woman caught in adultery, John 8 verses 1 to 11. In this narrative, a woman is brought before Jesus by the scribes and Pharisees, caught in the act of adultery, a serious offense under Mosaic law. The religious leaders sought to trap Jesus by asking whether the woman should be stoned, as the law commanded. Instead of condemning her, Jesus responded with compassion. He knelt down and began writing on the ground, offering a moment for reflection. When the accusers persisted, Jesus challenged them, stating, "Let him who is without sin among you be the first to throw a stone at her." One by one, starting from the eldest, they all left. Jesus, the only one without sin, could have judged her, yet he showed empathy and understanding. He didn't dismiss the seriousness of the situation but extended compassion and forgiveness. His actions displayed a profound leadership trait, the ability to empathize with someone's situation, understand their struggles, and offer support rather than condemnation. This story highlights the transformative power of compassion in leadership. Jesus didn't just assert authority, he connected on a human level, acknowledging the woman's vulnerability and demonstrating mercy. His compassionate leadership not only spared the woman from condemnation, but also challenged the onlookers to reflect on their own imperfections and prejudices. Jesus often emphasized the principle of putting others first through his teachings and actions. One poignant story illustrating this principle is the parable of the Good Samaritan, Luke 10 verses 25 to 37. In this story, a lawyer tests Jesus by asking what he must do to inherit eternal life. Jesus prompts the lawyer to answer his own question by summarizing the law, to love God and love your neighbor as yourself. To probe deeper, the lawyer asks, "And who is my neighbor?" Jesus responds by telling the story of a man who was attacked by robbers and left wounded on the road. Both a priest and a Levite, esteemed figures in Jewish society, passed by without helping. However, a Samaritan, a member of a group despised by the Jews, stops and tends to the injured man's wounds. He then takes him to an inn and cares for him, even paying for his stay. The Samaritan's actions exemplified putting others first. He didn't let social barriers or personal safety concerns prevent him from aiding someone in need. He didn't question the man's background or beliefs. He simply saw someone suffering and responded with compassion and practical help. The Bible champions inclusivity and empowerment by consistently emphasizing God's unconditional love for all individuals. Its teachings transcend societal divisions, advocating for the acceptance and inclusion of diverse backgrounds. Jesus' actions notably exemplified this through his association with societal outcasts, promoting a culture of embracing everyone, irrespective of their status or past. Moreover, biblical principles stress the empowerment of individuals through service, encouraging believers to serve one another humbly and equitably. Verses like Galatians 3 verse 28 underscore equality among all, highlighting that in God's eyes, everyone holds intrinsic value. The Bible's focus on caring for the vulnerable further fosters a community spirit centered on inclusivity and empathy. These principles serve as a timeless guide, promoting a culture where every person is valued, empowered, and included in the journey of faith and community. Jesus often led by example, teaching through his actions. One powerful story showcasing his leadership by example is the event of the Last Supper, John 13 verses 1 to 17. During this occasion, knowing his impending betrayal and crucifixion, Jesus chose to wash the feet of his disciples. This act was significant because foot washing was typically done by servants as a gesture of hospitality, humility, and care for guests. However, in this case, it was Jesus, their revered teacher and leader, who took on this task. As Jesus knelt before each disciple, washing their feet, he demonstrated servant leadership in its purest form. Peter initially resisted, feeling uncomfortable with Jesus assuming this humble role, but Jesus explained that this act was an example for them to follow. "I have set you an example that you should do as I have done for you." By performing this act of service, Jesus illustrated the essence of leadership, to serve others with humility and selflessness. He taught that leadership isn't about asserting authority or seeking prominence. Rather, it involves sacrificial service and genuine care for others. This event not only exemplified Jesus' teachings, but also challenged the disciples to adopt a servant-hearted approach to leadership. It emphasized the importance of leading by example, showing that true leadership involves embodying the values one wishes to instill in others. Jesus taught that leadership isn't about self-aggrandizement or seeking personal gain, but about serving and sacrificing for others. He said, "Greater love has no one than this, to lay down one's life for one's friends." John 15 verse 13, underscoring the ultimate act of sacrifice as the epitome of love and leadership. Moreover, Jesus encouraged his followers to emulate this sacrificial spirit in their lives, urging them to deny themselves, take up their crosses, and follow his example. This doesn't necessarily mean physical martyrdom, but encompasses a daily willingness to put others' needs before one's own, sacrificing comfort, pride, and personal desires for the greater good. Jesus was a master at nurturing a sense of purpose and meaning among his followers. His teachings were rich with parables and stories that conveyed profound truths, often centered around purposeful living and finding meaning in life. One notable example is the parable of the talents, Matthew 25 verses 14 to 30. In this story, a master entrusts different amounts of talents, a form of currency, to his servants before going away. Upon his return, he assesses how they utilized these talents. The servants who invested and multiplied their talents were praised, while the one who buried his talent out of fear received rebuke. This parable illustrates the importance of using one's abilities and resources to fulfill a greater purpose. It emphasizes stewardship, diligence, and making the most of what one has been given. Jesus used such parables to instill a sense of purpose and responsibility among his disciples, urging them to use their God-given gifts to serve others and contribute meaningfully to the world. His journey was marked by numerous challenges, trials, and opposition, yet he remained steadfast in his mission and unwavering in his commitment to his purpose. One powerful example of Jesus' resilience is his experience in the Garden of Gethsemane, Matthew 26 verses 36 to 46. Facing the imminent prospect of his crucifixion, Jesus prayed fervently, expressing his anguish and requesting, if possible, for the cup of suffering to be taken from him. However, despite the immense emotional turmoil, he ultimately submitted to God's will, displaying extraordinary resilience and unwavering determination to fulfill his purpose. Throughout his ministry, Jesus faced opposition, rejection, and hardship. He encountered skepticism, faced criticism from religious leaders, and experienced betrayal from one of his own disciples. Despite these challenges, he remained resolute in his teachings of love, compassion, and forgiveness. Moreover, Jesus encouraged his followers to endure hardships and remain steadfast in faith. He taught about the inevitability of trials, but also emphasized the importance of perseverance. One of his famous teachings was, "In this world, you will have trouble. But take heart. I have overcome the world." John 16 verse 33, highlighting the inevitability of challenges, but also the assurance of overcoming them through faith and perseverance. Jesus' life serves as an embodiment of resilience and perseverance in the face of adversity. His ability to endure trials, maintain unwavering faith, and continue his mission despite overwhelming odds serves as an enduring example for people navigating their own struggles, inspiring them to persevere with faith, hope, and determination. One illustrative example is the story of the rich young ruler, Mark 10 verses 17 to 27. A wealthy young man approached Jesus, seeking guidance on attaining eternal life. Jesus, knowing the man's attachment to his wealth, challenged him to sell everything, give to the poor, and follow him. This encounter sparked introspection, as the young man struggled with this request due to his strong attachment to his possessions. Jesus used this moment to highlight the importance of self-reflection and the potential barriers to spiritual growth, in this case, material attachments. One remarkable aspect of Jesus' approach was his willingness to engage with individuals from diverse backgrounds and social statuses. He interacted with tax collectors, Samaritans, women, children, the sick, and marginalized groups, disregarding societal norms and prejudices. The encounter with the Samaritan woman at the well, John 4 verses 1 to 42, is a poignant example of this. Jesus, a Jewish man, engaged in a respectful and meaningful conversation with a Samaritan woman, breaking ethnic, cultural, and gender barriers of the time. Moreover, Jesus emphasized the universality of his message by teaching that God's love and salvation were available to everyone, irrespective of their background. He portrayed this through parables like the Good Samaritan, which challenged societal biases and highlighted the importance of compassion without boundaries. Jesus' teachings encouraged unity, love, and acceptance, transcending cultural, ethnic, and social divisions. He emphasized the value of every individual, fostering an inclusive community where everyone felt welcomed and valued. He notably said, "Whoever wants to become great among you must be your servant, and whoever wants to be first must be slave of all." Mark 10 verses 43 to 44. He didn't merely preach this, he lived it by example. He encapsulated the greatest commandments as loving God and loving one's neighbor as oneself. His teachings emphasized not just love in words, but love in action, caring for the marginalized, forgiving enemies, and showing compassion without limits. Jesus' life and teachings offer a timeless blueprint for leadership that transcends boundaries, cultures, and eras. His approach centered on love, humility, service, and inclusivity, challenging conventional notions of leadership and offering a profound model that continues to inspire people across the world. Through his actions and words, Jesus exemplified servant leadership, emphasizing the importance of humility and selfless service. He taught the value of inclusivity, welcoming all into his community regardless of background or social standing. His teachings on love, forgiveness, and compassion emphasized the transformative power of empathy and kindness. Jesus' life was marked by resilience, perseverance, and sacrificial love. His unwavering commitment to his purpose, even in the face of opposition and suffering, serves as a testament to the strength of character and the enduring impact of authentic leadership. Ultimately, Jesus' leadership model encourages introspection, personal growth, and a commitment to serving others. His legacy continues to shape leaders, inspiring them to lead with love, humility, and a dedication to the well-being and empowerment of those they serve. In a world hungering for compassionate and principled leadership, Jesus' example stands as a guiding light, offering a profound vision of leadership rooted in love, service, and inclusivity. Let us consider adopting a mindset that transcends conventional leadership paradigms. May we embrace humility as the cornerstone of our interactions, placing the needs of others before our own. As we lead, may empathy and compassion guide our decisions, fostering environments where every individual's voice is heard and valued. Jesus' teachings encourage us to lift others up, empower them, and serve them with a heart full of love. Let us extend a helping hand, mentor others, and create spaces where everyone feels included and empowered to thrive. Remember, this journey isn't about perfection, but about progress. Let us take steps, however small, to align our leadership style with these timeless principles. Reflect on these teachings, pray for guidance, and strive to embody servant leadership in our daily lives. May the essence of servant leadership, as exemplified by Jesus, inspire us to lead with grace, integrity, and a genuine desire to make a positive difference in the lives of those we serve and ours eternally.